Pasadena. We're trying to make some phone calls to find out if, in fact, that is where this pursuit started. But you can see now this is going down the 101 freeway. That vehicle, it appears to be an SUV.
It's definitely an SUV. They are going through Woodland Hills right now on the 101 freeway. As you said, started in Pasadena. We don't know if it was the surface streets or actually on the freeway, and we don't know exactly why it started in Pasadena. What we do know is Pasadena police were in pursuit of this suspect vehicle. Eventually, they got some help from Glendale PD with their helicopter. They went into tracking mode for a while. The police pulled off of the pursuit. The helicopter tracked it for a while. And then we see just seconds ago, the CHP is now hopping back onto this pursuit as it continues to roll down the 101 freeway in Woodland Hills. We still don't know exactly why this driver is being pursued, but clearly he is running. He's going beyond the speed limit and passing a great deal of cars. We can't quite evaluate how reckless he is in his driving. Clearly, the freeway is a little bit more free than what we've seen in the afternoons. But he does seem to be flying right by the traffic.
Right, and when Air 7 first was over this, this individual wasn't going as fast as he or she is now, and it's unclear if that's because the units are now right behind this person, from going from tracking mode to having units right on the ground in hot pursuit, or if for some other reason suddenly picked up the speed. Let's go to JT Alpaugh now, who joins us now with more. JT?
Well, Michelle, it looks like the speeds definitely have picked up here. We'll get a little bit of a problem on the IFB here. We'll get that fixed. But the speeds have basically picked up here, as you see. CHP now in pursuit of this suspect as it continues through the Woodland Hills area, coming into the Calabasas area. LAPD went into tracking mode, and as you mentioned, after going out of tracking mode, they turned it over to the California Highway Patrol, who engaged the suspect again in the pursuit. Right now, as you said, it is uncertain what the suspect is wanted for, but you can see these speeds have definitely increased. Definitely felony evading, I should say, at this point, but there is some talk that the suspect may be mentally ill or developmentally disabled in some way. We're not sure how they got that information. But right now, definitely a failure to yield at the very least, and felony evading from the CHP and the LAPD at this particular point.
So we are seeing this pursuit. Clearly, when they pulled off of it, JT, do you think there was some concern that he was just going too fast? Because what we did notice was when they pulled off of him, they were saying that his speed limit had dropped to about 85 miles per hour. Now, as we all know, on the freeways of L.A., I mean, that's sometimes about what a lot of folks are driving, especially if the freeways are clear. CHP is on him now. He's clearly picked up his speed. I'm wondering if when you back off of these pursuits, it's because he was being reckless or maybe going too fast.
Well, part of the strategy in that, David, is when they go into the tracking mode, it really is to try to get the suspect to stop driving radically, trying to get them to drive safer. It also depends on the want the suspect is wanted for, what is the crime they've committed, and they weigh that against the danger to the public as to the need of getting the suspect into custody. Is it possible the suspect is named? Do they know the suspect? Do they know what's going on with him? Do they know how to get him into custody at a later date? You can see it looks like he's going into a construction zone here on the 101, getting in some traffic. This could be extremely dangerous if there's construction workers in the area. But right now, they did go into tracking mode, and that's when they changed agencies. The California Highway Patrol took over the pursuit. At that point, they decided to re-engage the pursuit.
He's on the other side of the cones. He went around the cones right there, JT, of that construction site. Went into the restricted area just to get around all that traffic.
Yeah, definitely a dangerous move there, David. When he's weaving through this traffic, it looks like that construction zone. As you can see, these are zones that are typically everybody wants to slow down because of these workers on the right shoulder. It looks like he's past that zone now and picking up speed again on this westbound 101 as he moves through the Calabasas area towards the Ventura County area and towards that 23 freeway.
Okay, so we're getting some reports that Air 7 is going about 75 miles per hour, so it does look like he's really moving, but he's not going as fast as other pursuits that we've seen, Michelle.
He's not, but we are seeing some erratic driving, as we saw just a moment ago when this individual came upon a couple of construction zones. And in one particular case, drove around some cones to evade the CHP unit behind him or her. Again, we don't know a lot about the individual, or perhaps there are more people on board. As far as we know, there's just one person inside that vehicle. We haven't heard reports of others, but at any rate, we believe this started in Pasadena. The reasons behind, why this started, they're unclear at this point, but it did go into tracking mode. They pulled off the units for whatever reason, perhaps because that person was going too fast in Pasadena, and they pulled back in an effort to get him or her to slow down, which we've seen before with pursuits. But now the CHP has picked it up along the 101 freeway here now in Calabasas, and the speeds have picked up significantly, though not too bad. We've seen pursuits where the driver is going along at a much higher rate of speed, but we did see some erratic driving, trying to maneuver around some construction zones. But right now, the traffic is light. For a Friday night here on the 101 freeway, things are moving along pretty smoothly, and this is continuing now. Let's check back in with JT Alpaugh.
Yeah, Michelle and David, it looks like the speeds have actually picked up quite a bit there. I would guesstimate, again, I'm not in Air 7 HD right now, but I would guesstimate the speeds to be upwards of 80, possibly 90 miles an hour based on the speeds of these passing traffic right now. Again, in and out of traffic, weaving, and you got to understand that these vehicles here, they see these cars coming up, and especially that CHP vehicle is not very close behind it, they're not sure what to do. So it just takes one of these innocent drivers ahead of them to change lanes ahead of them, and you can see that closure speed, that could cause an accident very, very quickly. So that's a big concern for these officers. Again, it's undetermined what the suspect is wanted for, or who the suspect is, or as you mentioned, how many suspects are in there, but you can see a lane change and then coming back into that fast lane. Speed's increasing here as he moves back into the Ventura County area. Just a dangerous pursuit. It's really not what he's wanted for, or what's going to happen here.
Yeah, now moving into Agoura Hills along the 101 freeway, speeds at about 90 miles per hour. That's what we're guessing now, based on how fast our pictures are coming in from Air 7 HD, based on the speed of our helicopter.
JT, the helicopter that is tracking them, the police helicopter, does it have a light on the suspect as he's driving?
Absolutely. Well, right now it's hard to tell. It does not look like the LAPD are actually over this pursuit, and if they are, they're not utilizing what's called their night sun, and that's an extremely high-powered searchlight that puts that light on that suspect vehicle. We haven't seen that in the pursuit right now, so it's uncertain if there actually is a law enforcement helicopter over it. Sometimes when LAPD goes into tracking mode, they will pull their helicopter off. But in this situation, I would assume that they're probably trying to get the helicopter back into this pursuit to assist the CHP until CHP can get their aircraft there. But LAPD is a multi-agency assist when these types of pursuits go through multiple cities or counties or jurisdictions. LAPD Air Support Division is always there to help when needed. So it's uncertain to know why they're not there, or they may be there and their night sun may be disabled. We'll try to get that information for you right now and see if there's another aircraft coming in or if there's one overhead right now.
We're getting word, JT, that the LA Sheriff's Department helicopter is coming in to assist right now. Not sure the specifics of that, but at least that's what information that we're getting. LA Sheriff's Department hopping on this pursuit as we continue to watch the sky fly by at 90, 95 miles per hour. It just looks so dark out there to be going that quickly and flying by other people who are basically, you never know what their situation is. They could be completely not paying attention and just kind of cruising along. So that, like right there, he gets pinned in a tad bit, and you have 3 people on the roads potentially that he could run into. Hopefully they'll see the CHP officers with their lights and sirens on, and perhaps maybe the helicopter overhead with its light on to give them some idea that something fairly dramatic is happening right now, just to get out of the way.
Yeah, and at this point, they are going through LA County Sheriff's Lost Hills area, so that is entirely possible that LA County Sheriffs are going to come in. They're soon going to be into the Ventura County's area, and it's possible Ventura County may launch their new helicopter that is designed specifically for activities to come in and help with this pursuit. But you can see the distance the suspect has put on the CHP unit. That's a good 50, 60, 70 yards and increasing. This suspect is driving extremely erratically, extremely fast. As you mentioned, David, as he comes up on those vehicles, especially without that black and white behind them, these guys don't know he's coming, and that can be very, very dangerous if they switch lanes in front of them.
Right. It is kind of frightening to watch, and I'm wondering, as he kind of approaches, or he's in Westlake Village now, so he's basically at the Ventura County line, going into Ventura County. Pretty soon, he's going to go into that grade where he kind of drops down into the valley. Does that change anything when it comes to how you handle this pursuit, especially on a long downhill grade?
Well, the Conejo grade, as we all know, it's not too steep going up, but coming down on the Ventura County side into the Camarillo area can be extremely steep. It will be interesting to see how that suspect driving this car negotiates that. We all try to slow down. You know how you drive down that grade, and you almost have to really consciously decide to slow down. It's so steep, and you don't realize how fast you are. He's going, like we said, 80, 90 miles an hour right now, so we'll see how he negotiates that as he comes down into the Camarillo area.
Okay, we are hearing now from Air 7 that the speeds are estimated to be about 100 miles an hour going down the 101 freeway now in the Westlake Village area. As JT indicated, the Conejo grade is coming up, and David, you were talking about this as well, and that could be very dangerous at a high rate of speed. It's a very steep grade, and clearly, at night, only complicates matters. Now into the Thousand Oaks area, moving into Ventura County now. This pursuit suspect that's been going on along on the freeways for quite some time now, at least about 20 minutes or so. This began, we believe, in the Pasadena area. We're not sure how the pursuit began. Pasadena police were apparently pursuing this vehicle initially, and then for whatever reason went into tracking mode. That's the information that we're getting. And then the CHP picked it up in the San Fernando Valley, and that's where we are now on the 101 in the Thousand Oaks area. Did he transition?
The 23 north.
To the 23 north, okay.
So it's narrow. It looks like it goes down to one or two lanes, and then there he is passing by. I don't know what those were with the lights on, but obviously very narrow, smaller freeway than the 101 freeway, and then it kind of turns the driver up, heading north. Let's bring JT back in here. So where's he headed, JT, when it comes to going up to 23 north?
Yeah, David's going to come through the Thousand Oaks area, and this goes into the Moore Park area as it makes its way towards the 118 freeway. Now, he's going to have a choice as the 23 ends at the 118. Either he goes westbound through the Moore Park area on the old 118, which is more highway and a rural street, if you will, or he's going to continue eastbound on the 118 into the Simi Valley area. Now, we just checked speeds with Air 7 HD, and they actually had a top speed as they were approaching the 23 freeway of about 108 miles per hour. So that was what we were clocking Air 7 at right now as he makes his way northbound. We'll check that speed again shortly as he gets going on this 23. But again, passing Jan's Road on the northbound 23 through Thousand Oaks, approaching the Moore Park area, we'll see if he makes his way into Simi Valley. What's happening right now, we do see a night sun that is now on the vehicle, which means there is an air support asset overhead. We're not sure if that's the LAPD or the LA County Sheriff's, as you mentioned earlier, but right now that's good news. That means that air unit overhead can radio ahead to all the agencies, Ventura County Sheriff's, Simi Valley, let them know they're coming so they can put assets into the area in case he gets off the freeway in those cities. They'll be prepared to intercept that pursuit, set up a containment or a perimeter, and assist the CHP if the suspect decides to run.
Right. Okay, so we are watching this right now. The sheriff's helicopter light you could sometimes see kind of dancing around right by the vehicle. The CHP is right behind him in pursuit as he continues to go about 100 miles an hour. That was the last we checked just a few seconds ago from Air 7 HD as he continues to fly down the 23 freeway from Thousand Oaks heading into Moore Park. And as JT said, from Moore Park, it looks like he could hit the 118, JT, if he stays on it, and then it's going to swing him back, I guess, eastward towards Simi Valley, as you said. But it does look like the freeways are a little bit more wide open, less traffic here, so he could just put the pedal to the metal and really go.
Yeah, typically this time of night, especially on the 23, not a whole lot of traffic. It's a 2 or 3 lane highway, travel it quite a bit. But when we're getting speeds right now in excess of 115 miles an hour, according to Air 7 HD, as he continues northbound. The 23, as it goes northbound, it really almost turns into the 118. It makes that eastbound curve. Unless he gets off the freeway in the Moore Park area, that's pretty much where he's going to go as he grabs that right side, so it's very possible he could do that. Very, very fast speeds. Luckily, not a lot of traffic. You can see the suspect signaling, which is kind, but sometimes they'll do that just to give the vehicles ahead of them an idea that they're changing lanes. See people saying, well, he's running from the police, why does he bother signaling? It's to let the people know ahead of him that he's doing that so no one cuts him off, which is a good thing.
Well, and with traffic this light along the 23 heading north, perhaps the CHP will have an opportunity to throw out a spike strip. That clearly they'll be able to anticipate this individual's move for the time being, because there's no other freeway option for a while, unless the person decides to just get off the freeway. But it seems like it's slowing down a bit now, as the CHP unit is continuing to follow pretty closely behind. We're now in Simi Valley, I'm being told. Again, we're on the 23 and about to transition, I think, now to the 118 freeway. We are on the 118 freeway right now. Okay, so we are heading now back toward perhaps where this all began. This began, we believe, in Pasadena, and as we've seen many times before with police pursuits, individuals will go back to where it all began. Now, it's too soon to tell if that's the case here, but this could be the case, as we are seeing this person now heading back in the direction of Pasadena.
If you're just tuning in, we don't know a whole lot about the suspect that they are pursuing. All we know is that this pursuit began, as Michelle just said, in Pasadena. They were on him for a little while as he kind of flew down the 134 freeway from Pasadena. They got some help from the helicopter from Glendale PD. This is Pasadena police that first started this pursuit. Glendale helicopter stayed on top of it. They moved into a tracking mode for a while, and during that tracking mode is when we saw this driver go through Glendale, then eventually to Studio City and Sherman Oaks. And then once it passed the 101 and the 405, the CHP picked up the freeway pursuit, and then he really took off again, going up as high as 108 miles per hour is what JT tells us. Then he swings off the 101 right after Thousand Oaks, heads up north, stays on the 23 from the 101, and now we're getting confirmation that he is on the 118 in Simi Valley.
Yeah, he is making that big winding transition right now. That's from the freeway, the 23 freeway going northbound, making that big swing to the east. So he's in that transition period right now between the 23 and the 118. And we have the speeds right now from Air 7 HD looking at about, we'll call it 100 miles an hour, maybe a little under. As you continue, you can see those big sweeping overpasses there. That is as they come through the eastern portion of Moore Park, western portion of Simi Valley. They'll be coming up on Madera here shortly as they make their way eastbound on the 118 through Simi Valley.
Well, clearly the speeds are too fast for a pit maneuver, which stands for pursuit intervention technique, where officers will ram the back of the vehicle, the corner of the vehicle, to get it to spin out. That ideally takes place at about 35 miles per hour or less. So that's not really an option here, but the spike strip could be an option, and or perhaps they'll just want to ride this thing out and just continue to follow and hope that this person will eventually just pull over. We haven't seen any collisions so far, which is good. We did see this driver maneuver around some construction cones. It must have been quite frightening for the people who were working with Caltrain, the 101 freeway, a short time ago when this person went by. Thankfully, nothing happened, but it was a very dangerous situation. Pretty close there.
Squeeze through a couple of people. Hey, JT, Michelle brought this up a second ago, but is a spike strip a possibility in a situation like this?
Well, at these kind of speeds, David and Michelle, I don't want to go into the tactics of when they do and don't, but it can be very dangerous. What you do not want to do is officers do not want to expose themselves to a potential being run over by the suspect. So at these speeds, unless they have what's called cover and concealment, whether that's in a freeway overpass or another vehicle where they actually use that cover and conceal themselves while they deploy that spike strip, it's very unlikely that they would do this. But again, it really dictates what the suspect's wanted for, what do they fear, the crime they're wanted for, what are they running from, what are they running to. So again, there is a supervisor involved in this pursuit that is weighing all these options. It can be very dangerous, especially at these speeds, not only for the officers, but for the suspect driving this vehicle. If they spin out and roll over at these speeds, it can be deadly. And if this is a suspect that, again, that was mentioned earlier and has yet to be confirmed, if it's a person with a developmental disability or a mental illness, that's something that they do not want to have happen. So, again, or to anybody for that matter, they want to weigh these things, and they weigh these things very, very carefully during the pursuit. He's coming up, he just passed Madera Road in Simi Valley. So yeah, this situation, it could be deployed, but you don't usually see that at these speeds, especially on a highway like this. It could be extreme.
Right, and it's so dark. I mean, even if the driver wasn't intending to hit the officer, he very well could hit the officer at this kind of darkness and the speed that he's doing. So I could see how it's extremely dangerous. In the meantime, you could see the freeways are almost completely empty when it comes to where he is. Once he got off that 101 freeway, which was a little bit scary because there were quite a few cars on that, he's free sailing here on the 118 freeway right now.
Yeah, continuing along the 118 freeway, heading in the direction of, Pasadena, where it all began. But before this person would get that far, still has to come upon the 405 freeway. So there is the chance that this person could, hop on the 5 or the 405. It's too soon to tell. Still in the Simi Valley area. Ideally, this person will just pull over, but this person's been given that opportunity for more than 20 minutes now, and is continuing to evade authorities. Producer just gave us a locator. Where are we, Carper?
They're eastbound on the 118 right now. They're coming up on Sycamore, just past Erringer, coming up on Sycamore in the Simi Valley area. Again, I'm sorry, guys, he's just going extremely quickly. By this speed, he would probably be to the Santa Susana Pass, making his way into the San Fernando Valley within probably 2 or 3 minutes as he comes up on Sycamore on the 118.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then the latest from Air 7 is he's going about 75 miles per hour. So as we suspected, he's probably not moving as fast as he was on the 101. Maybe he, with the open freeway, I don't know, maybe he doesn't feel as pressured, but he definitely has slowed down just a little bit, which is a good thing. But we do see him just flying by some cars like that one he just passed right there. They're hopefully seeing some of the police lights and sirens and pulling to the side and slowing down and getting out of the way.
Wonder if it's possible. Now I was just going to say, if we pull out a little bit to see how many units are in pursuit on the ground, we can see 2, 3, at least 3 on the ground, plus being followed above by, we believe, a sheriff's helicopter, which, I'm not sure if it was the sheriff's earlier that was in tracking mode, but for a while, this suspect was being followed only by the air. They were not following this person on the ground after it began in Pasadena for reasons unknown, perhaps because the individual was just going too fast. And what often happens in those cases is that they will go into tracking mode and they will pull the units on the ground back in an effort to get that person to slow down. It's often very effective. And then, as we see, when they pull back up behind with the units, the person often speeds up again, and that's what we've seen tonight. But now going at more moderate speeds, we're hearing from Air 7 about 75 miles per hour. And JT, where are we right now? We're still in Simi Valley?
Yeah, Michelle, we're still on the eastbound on the 118. He's coming up on Stearns. He'll pass Stearns, and he'll hit Cooner Neck, and he'll go up into the Santa Susana Pass, that windy road where he'll go through Rocky Peak, and then he'll come down the hill through the Chatsworth area back into the Simi Valley as he makes his way eastbound on the 118. That is if he doesn't get off the freeway. And he will make his way back and down in the east one towards the 405 freeway. Again, these speeds very, very difficult. You saw what's interesting about the California Highway Patrol is they have 2 or 3 units in the pursuit, but what will happen is they change areas. They will rotate different officers into this pursuit throughout the pursuit. Unlike most agencies like LAPD, the sheriffs, they put a primary unit and a secondary unit, and those units stay on the pursuit as long as they're able to do that. CHP has a different tactic. They rotate their officers in and out of the pursuit, especially as they move through different areas, and that's to keep officers fresh, to keep their mind focused on it, not to get tunnel vision. And they will get them through there and fresh officers and fresh vehicles in the pursuit at all times. A little bit different tactic the CHP uses than most of the other agencies through Southern California.
Is it likely the CHP will just stay on this, even if it gets, let's say, right back to where it started and in Pasadena? Could Pasadena PD pick it up again?
Yeah, that's very possible. A lot of times when these things leave the highway and these vehicles and suspects go back to the areas that they're familiar with or where the pursuit actually was started, as you make your way past into the Santa Susana Pass, what will happen is those agencies may actually re-engage the pursuit and take it over if they feel it's going to stay in their city for quite some time and not get back on the freeways or highways. They will actually take it back over.
Well, we've seen it happen so many times where these people do go back to where it all began, and oftentimes it ends up on surface streets, and then they foot bail and they run into a backyard. It's a good warning to people who may be in this area. You never know where they're going to hop off the freeway. It's nighttime. Most people have their doors locked at this hour anyway. But you don't want to take any chances if you live in this area or in the Pasadena area where this could be returning to. Be aware. Keep your doors locked. You never know where this person could end up and bail out and make a run for it.
We did hear a little bit, a very small amount, about the suspect, that perhaps the suspect is suffering from some sort of a mental state right now. So they're hopefully going to handling this very, very carefully. We don't know the state of the person who's in that car. Perhaps it's a breakdown, perhaps it's something permanent, some disability. But we have heard that perhaps they are dealing with a situation like that. Being a criminal may not be the situation in this case, just from what we are hearing and understanding, but nevertheless, still very unpredictable on how this person is going to behave, why this person is running, and why this person is driving so quickly on the freeways, and where is this person going. We often see these suspects just drive and drive and drive as they panic and try to figure out what to do next. That might be what we're seeing here.
JT, where are we right now? Can you give us an update?
Sure, Michelle. They're in the Santa Susana Pass right now. They just passed Rocky Peak Road, and they're coming down the 118 eastbound, approaching Topanga Canyon. We think that might be Topanga Canyon they just passed. So the next 4 or 5 miles will get them to the 405 freeway. But right now they're up on DeSoto, passing Topanga. Again, speeds looking at they're running at about 80-ish, 80 to 80 miles per hour. What we're saying, here's Topanga Canyon. They just passed Topanga Canyon right. So in the Chatsworth area, making their way back eastbound on 118.
Okay. Thanks, JT. Sorry your signal's breaking up with us there. Again, the CHP pursuing an SUV. Hard to tell if those windows are tinted, but it's very hard to see inside the vehicle. It's unclear how many people may be inside that. We don't know. We don't even know if it's a man or a woman driving at this point.
Right. We do. Obviously, it is an SUV. It's very tough to tell the size and the exact model. We've heard Chevy Tahoe, but we don't have that confirmed. But it is clearly an SUV, and I don't know if it's an older or a newer model, because as you can see, it's so dark. It's very tough to tell details right now.
It's very hard to see, and it's very difficult when these pursuits do take place at night, and when the person finally does pull over. It's often a standoff for a time being. Officers can't see inside the vehicle. It's a very dangerous situation. They don't know how many people might be inside that car. And what you will see when it eventually comes to an end is what they want to do is a felony stop. They want the individual to throw the car keys out, to exit the vehicle, to get out with their back facing the police or the CHP officers, and then to lie down on the ground. They don't want any sudden movements, and then what they will do is they will go up on the vehicle and they will look for other people who might be inside that car and clear the vehicle, make sure it's a safe situation before they then go ahead and take the driver into custody. We're not sure how much longer that will take to happen, but this has been going on since before 11 o'clock this evening, so for at least a half an hour now. A pursuit on several freeways in Southern California, on the 134, the 101, the 23, and now the 118 into the Porter Ranch area, into the San Fernando Valley, and heading back toward the area where this all began, which was Pasadena. JT Alpaugh has been following this with us, and JT, hopefully your signal's better now. We can get an update from you.
Well, I hope so too, Michelle and David. Yeah, they continue on this eastbound 118, making their way through Porter Ranch into the North Hills area, coming up on the 405 freeway. Again, speeds looking to be about 60 to 80 miles an hour, much slower than they were earlier. We were seeing speeds topping at 100 miles an hour where Air 7 was, but he's still dangerously speeding up here. As you can see how quickly he passes the cars to his right. you got to assume those cars are going 75 miles per hour, and he's passing them like they're like they're stopped. So extremely dangerous situation here. And you were mentioning it earlier, Michelle. We don't know what that suspect's wanted for, and it.
Oh, we just lost him. Okay,
I'm back. You guys have me?
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, sorry.
We are hearing that he's going about 95 miles per hour. Yeah, so that's much faster than the regular traffic.
Yeah, it's just such a dangerous situation. And again, we don't know. The police officer's in pursuit. They may know what he's wanted for. They may not. And it's the dangers and the unknown. And Michelle, you nailed it on the head there. These officers are dealing with the unknown. They don't know how many suspects are in the car. They don't know if there are weapons involved. It may be a named suspect or an unreported stolen vehicle, or they may be fleeing from a crime that's unreported at this time. So it's always a situation in law enforcement during this pursuit. So you really don't know what you're dealing with. And they're trying to do their best to figure it out, get all the intel they can, try to put the story together.
All right. JT, we do have an update now. We are getting confirmation from Pasadena Police that they are investigating this suspect as a felony assault with a vehicle. Apparently, this person tried to hit somebody, but nobody was hit, but did try to. So it was a felony assault with a vehicle, attempted stop. The suspect then fled. Pasadena did pull off the pursuit, and then the CHP eventually picked it back up, and that's basically where we have been. So some confirmation of exactly what happened. The vehicle has been noted to be reckless driving, failure to yield, all those things we usually see when it comes to these pursuits.
Okay, so learning a little bit more now about how this all began in Pasadena a little bit before 11 o'clock this evening. As David mentioned, this person apparently tried to hit someone with the vehicle. Thankfully, no one was hurt, no one was hit, but the pursuit continues, and it has been a dangerous one at high speeds, at times up to 100 miles an hour. Thankfully, no collisions with any other vehicles, but it continues, and the CHP is in pursuit. We're going to continue to follow this, I believe, on our website. We're going to be streaming this on abc7.com. But that concludes our coverage here on ABC7. We thank you for watching. We hope you have a great weekend.